Rasheem Biles is a turnover-creating and impactful linebacker with the versatility and skills to be a Swiss Army knife for an NFL defense.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season. And today's episode is all about new Texas linebacker transfer from Pittsburgh, Rasheem Biles. We're going to explain our grade for him, throw out any comps, body comps, play style comps, talk about the concerns regarding his NFL draft profile heading into the college football season. But as always, Keith, we got to talk about the pros, the things that the young man does well. Rasheem Biles is listed at 6'1", 225 pounds. So we went from 235 that we didn't know if it was a recruit 235 to 225, 6'1", 225. Last season, Keith Biles finished the season with 4.5 sacks, 100 total tackles, 8 pressures on the season. Another versatile type of defender, especially somebody you want on the field on third downs. Keith, what stood out to you when you watched Rasheem Biles?
Yeah, for very different reasons, right? When we talked about our guy, the Notre Dame linebacker, Mr. Kingston, the first thing I mentioned was versatility, right? I think this young man has versatility and he plays on a second level, but in a different capacity, right? Kingston was going to play from the second level to the first level versatility. I think this young man is a second level to the third level in the capacity of versatility. So we're talking about one, obviously look at the stat sheet, right? And you just listed it off. This young man was everywhere. He flew around the football. He, numbers in sacks, forced fumbles, interceptions, tackles. So he covers the entire, runs the entire gamut, right? As far as productivity and where he is. So that lets you know that he's flying around the football and you're getting a high motor player. But I think that I look at him and what he can be as an interesting piece on a second level if utilized correctly, right? And I think about some of those potential sub linebackers, and then I think about the era that we almost lived in. Maybe it was a few years ago, right, when it was walking safeties down into the linebacker position from a coverage ability, right? Them being able to run with some running backs out of the backfield, be able to run with some tight ends, things like that. But the fact that he's doing it in college, it's not that he's getting to the NFL and making a transition. He's already comfortable, and you have tape on him as far as where, knowing his strengths and weaknesses as far as playing in a box. So versatility for Rasheem Biles is huge.
No, 100%. What I liked about him is just the fact of, like you said, because it's almost, we'll get to it a little bit later, like, man, he looks like a safety out there, and he moves like one. He plays like one, right? And that ability to drop in coverage. I can't remember which game it was. He had an interception. He opens his hips to the sideline, to get to a spot, as a zone dropper. Then he flips his hips, got square, and made a leaping interception, right in front of, I think it was a tight end, or it might have been like a dagger concept or something like that. But you see that ability to get depth, right? Play from front to back and be able to take things away in the passing game, right? And really get depth back there too. Because I think it was a play where he carried, I think it was a vertical, it was a deep over route. And he carried it vertically. Like it was playing zone. They passed him off and he turned and ran with the guy. And I was like, he's got the speed to do that. But then also he blitzes, and they do it. Pittsburgh did some good things with him in terms of like creating opportunities for one-on-ones. I think I was watching the Notre Dame game, and he had opportunities against both. Matter of fact, he got a sack against both. The first sack against CJ Carr, it was him versus Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love beat the first move and the second move. CJ Carr didn't throw the ball away or didn't get the ball in his hands, got pressured, and then he got sacked from behind. And I think Jeremiah Love was just looking at CJ like, what were you doing? Why was the ball still in your hand? I did my job. Right. But the second time he played against Jadarian Price, and he rushed one-on-one, and he hit Jadarian with kind of like it was almost like a Euro step into like almost a long arm over, and he cleared him and got the sack on CJ Carr again. So he can do different things going forward, stand, and going backwards, Keith. And I really appreciated that overall with his game. Because again, when you're 6'1", 225, I need to see, are you a good athlete? Are you fluid? Can we utilize you in different ways? And you can. Even as a run defender, Keith, I really like that he's a really effective backside chase down run defender. So if you're talking about running away from him, he knows how to get through those lanes that could be cutback lanes, chase the ball down backside, and make the play.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that it lends itself to that's what I was talking about, right? Actually seeing him play the positions. It lends himself to being a prototype 4-3 Will linebacker in a 4-3 scheme, right? You could place him there. And he can be a chase and run type of football player with great speed, right? And if you have a receiver, whatever that may be on the backside, you feel okay, definitely playing zone, with him on the backside. But if he has to play man, you say, you know what, I guess I could get through some reps with doing that. Yeah. I wanted to ask you this because the funny part was when I watched him, because I was, initially watching, and I'm like, this young man looks like Derwin James at first. I don't know if it was the face mask.
He wear 3, the number 3?
Yeah, and then maybe it's the color scheme too, because Derwin does that too. And it's a little bit different, right? But I was like, this young man looks like Derwin James, and I mean, because he's 223 pounds, but I wonder too if kicking him back, is he my strong safety, right? Like can you reverse engineer that situation? And we'll have to get into some comps, but I'll say this, that I thought of the New England Patriots when they kind of went on that run of drafting these kind of box safety,
Patrick Chung.
Yeah, those type of players, right? And that provides more, like I said, you could be drafting a strong safety in some elements to your game, which goes back to the versatility part of it, depending on who you want to have on the field and personnel packages. And like I said, it gives the defensive coordinator more versatility to execute different things.
No, 100% like that, and that's a big thing for me, Keith. Just kind of watching this kid and just that ability. Because let's flesh that conversation through. Like you said, can you kick him this strong? And it's like, okay, well, let's say we have, because a lot of teams try to have 3 good safeties, like 3 safeties that can get on the field and even live on the field at the same time. So let's say, because the Ravens did that a couple years ago with I think it was like Marcus Williams, Geno Stone, and Kyle Hamilton, right? You know what I mean? Like just be able to have 3 safeties where it's like somebody can walk down into the box. We can play too high. Kyle Hamilton was that guy that can man up against receivers in the slot, tight ends in the slot, running backs, blitz, spy quarterbacks. He was just Weapon X. He could do all those things, right? And I look at what Rasheem is like. To your point, if you kick them back to safety and he becomes your strong safety, let's say you do want to bring out another safety who's more like speed in the back end for coverage and things like that. You can make him your big nickel backer. And he's used to playing that close to the line of scrimmage where the speed of the game doesn't throw him off because he's already used to playing linebacker, right? So it's like he'll have to get used to playing safety. He'll be reverse Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles is a safety that converted to linebacker, right? So I just look at his game, and I just think it's a lot. And like you said, if you wanted to leave him at backer, he could be your 4-3 Will. Especially you got a big, strong defensive line in front of him and let him just go see ball, get ball. I believe that's when he's at his best. When he doesn't, don't get me wrong, he can slip blocks and everything. So he's really good about slipping blocks and getting around offensive linemen and everything. But if you let him just see ball, get ball, and just more so have to deal with like tight ends and running backs, and he's on the weak side, he's on the outside, and he's a little bit, because he plays in the overhang. Like KVA, I didn't get to KVA did the same thing. Like we talked about KVA yesterday. I saw KVA lined up in the overhang and play coverage. I see the same thing with Rasheem Biles. So yeah, he's just a super versatile kid that you have to kind of. I'm interested to see what Texas does with him, because we're gonna talk about it a little bit. You're going from Pitt to the SEC is a little different weight class that you're about to walk into this year defensively. So I'm interested to see how they utilize this kid.
Yep, DP, SEC country, right? The best conference there is. I still had to throw that out there, DP. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if we didn't win championships for the last 3 years. Still the best conference, right? Check the draft. That's all that matters. Check the draft prospects drafted from each conference. But DP.
Big Ten fans, look at them. Big Ten fans will be in the comments, Keith.
Oh, yeah. But DP, let's go ahead and do this, DP. Let's talk about the concerns, right? We discussed it. This young man is listed at 6'1", 225 pounds. So I'm guessing you can guess what direction we're going. But we're also going to talk about some of the pass game. We're going to talk about some of the run game issues when we talk about Mr. Rasheem Biles. And we'll discuss that coming up next.
The Locked On NFL Draft podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel's giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet at a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with everyday's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Sometimes it's a hitter who's been on the hot streak, a favorable pitching matchup, or even a ballpark that tends to give up home runs. Those are always the first things I look at before making my Daily Dingers picks. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action today at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who you believe will be hitting a home run today. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, official partner of the MLB. Breaking down the concerns for Rasheem Biles, 6'1", 225 pounds. And Keith, yeah, they know exactly where we're going. Size, frame, body type. 6'1", 225 is not the traditional measurements of a starting linebacker or a highly impactful starting linebacker in the NFL. You don't really hear that in terms of when you talk about some of the starters in the NFL. They're not the Brandon Spikes, Dante Hightower types as much anymore. They're somewhere in the middle, Keith, that 235 to 250. That's usually where they live, but 225 is a little bit of a different ball game, and I think that shows up in the run game. I ended the first segment talking about how he slips blocks. Well, there's a reason why he slips blocks.
Yeah,
he does not block. He does not shed them. He slips them because he doesn't shed them, Keith, because he's not really. Once them guards get up there, the centers get up to him, man, and if they get their hands on him, they can take him out of the play. They can absolutely neutralize him quickly.
Yeah, and this is man, I was about to say chemistry. This is not chemistry. This is physics, DP. Physics, yes. Physics, right? And there's there we go. There's some equation where they talk about, mass and power and size and hitting something else with mass and power. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like generating force, something like that, right? But that's what's going on, right? Is that bigger people are knocking him out the way. And it's just more difficult for him. And I mean, it's as simple as that, right? But discussing it, and I think what's more importantly is we talk about how versatile he is, right? Mm-hmm. But with that versatility comes a responsibility from the coordinator to place him in specific situations. And these players are very, it's a fine line you have to walk between versatility and being responsible in where you place him, right? Because a versatile second level defender, you think, okay, I can place him at all linebacker positions. Nope, that's not the answer, right? Every scheme isn't meant for him. I think if you run a traditional 3-4 scheme, I don't think there's a spot for him because I don't want him at either inside linebacker positions, right? Like having to take on.
I
don't want him in either
in that spot.
Nope. And then even in a 4-3 scheme, it's not like your middle linebacker goes down and you feel extremely comfortable with just kicking him over, right? You're like, I don't know if I want that. So you really want him playing the perimeter, right? And like you said, playing the overhang, playing the weak side linebacker. And I just don't know if there's a linebacker position for him in the 3-4 scheme. So you have to be versatile and multiple in your fronts, but you have to be versatile and multiple from the secondary to the second level of the defense, as far as throwing out different things, because it can be difficult. And I think about the Cowboys a few years ago when they were not great at run defense, which has probably been a few years, honestly. It's been a defensive tackle issue, but it's also been they've had light linebackers, right? Remember, it was the young man, I think from FAMU, and they kicked him down. Was it Bell? I want to say his last name was Bell. I can't remember.
Marquise?
I think so, yeah. I believe that was him, and they kicked him down from safety and let him play linebacker. Because he's an athletic linebacker, right? And you know this one of my biggest gripes, DP. You can't just move a safety down the linebacker and say go for it. It doesn't work like that, right? There's a lot more things that go into it, and so you got to be careful. I think that's the thing. You have to be careful with him. Not that he's a liability. You just have to be careful and not being irresponsible with him and putting him anywhere.
100%, Keith. That like the defensive coordinator, I think with his abilities and then the lack of physical frame and physical abilities, like with size and strength, you're going to have to, like you said, be very wary and creative of how you want to operate. Because, like you said, put him on the perimeter and let him chase the ball, right? You're talking about taking away flat routes or, just underneath throwing, concepts and things like that. Like, he's going to be really good in that situation because when he sees the ball, he makes a play on the ball, right? Whether it's, like you said, I think forced fumbles, interception, he's around the football. But you got to think about it, like, and to really explain to our listeners, guys, I know a lot of y'all are gamers, so you know exactly what I'm going with. You see a light front ISO, you're gonna run ISO right at him. Like, oh, that's a small defender. I'm gonna run the football. Like, I'm just run the ball. Your defensive line's not that big, and you got a small. We're running the football. You're gonna have to stop us, right? And we're gonna spam it like halfback dive out of I formation. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna stop running until you stop it, right? So it's just that type of situation with him. Of like, you don't want him to like, yeah, no. If this was like 15 years ago, Keith, absolutely not. He would be playing pure safety. Like there would be no shot of him playing linebacker because back then you talking about what the Jamal Lewis of the world, but the Baltimore Ravens. Man, you talk about having to deal with Mike Alstott and coming up the field in ISO, and you got to take on the ISO blocks from the Renzo Neal, and like I wouldn't want Rasheem Biles dealing with that.
Yep. No, and DP, this is the thing, right? We kind of have to worry about that a little bit now.
You definitely do.
Some of the, I understand what you were saying, but we're kind of trending back that direction, right? Which we've been talking about for the past few years, right? Like you think about some of the best teams in the NFL, those teams now want to run a football for balance, right? Like you look at the Chargers and what they want to do under Harbaugh. You look at the Ravens, you look at the 49ers, you look at the Eagles, you look
Bills.
The Bills run the football at a heavy clip. So you have to be able to stop the run now. And the question is, are we back to trending to where, and because remember we had this discussion, I was talking about trends, right? And how the pendulum just kind of swings from one way to another till somebody has an epiphany of just draft the good football players, right? Everybody wants to be a high-level scientist, and it's like, oh, running backs don't matter. And then now it's like, well, running backs matter now. And then everybody's like, why do they matter now? Right. Like,
It's been trending that way ever since Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs got drafted. So
I love hearing their explanations from the guys who've been on national TV and talk about why they didn't matter for 10 years. And then now them explain why they matter. Right. And which makes, but
why should you draft the Bijan Robinson?
Yeah. So it's crazy. But to the point with this, I think NFL, maybe 10 years ago, this would have been a more accepted type of situation, and people say, you know what, it doesn't matter where you play him, right? Like, we're more worried about him playing the pass anyway. I don't think people are looking at it from that perspective anymore anyway. Like, even you think about the Chiefs, right? We talked about it, right? They went and got Kenneth Walker, and they have the young man out of Nebraska, Emmett Johnson. Behind him. Yeah, so everybody's making a concerted effort to run the football, and it's because defenses have put guys like this on their defense and in specific on their second level, right? Which is kind of interesting contrast to pay attention to.
Which is crazy. You can't run out in nickel with which is a light front in itself, and then have him was one of your nickel linebackers, which makes it even lighter. It was just like, oh yeah, we're definitely running the football. We're absolutely running right at you.
Yep, 100%. Well, DP, let's do this, man. Let's go ahead and drop the draft grade, right? We talked about Mr. Rasheem Biles, the linebacker, the transfer linebacker from Pitt that's now at University of Texas. We talked about the pros, we talked about the cons, but let's go ahead and drop the draft grade, and let's see if DP has any NFL comps for us. Let's discuss that coming up next.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, and today's Locked On episode is brought to you by our friends at Basque and Lather. I've been using Basque and Lather's all-natural, 100% organic hair care products for my beard for a couple years now, and it's been a lifesaver because I used to have some bad beard care habits. I'm talking over-the-counter shampoo in the beard type stuff that created this brittle, scratchy, and uncomfortable beard that I just had to wear around all the time. But now the game done changed. Thanks to Basque and Lather, I got their beard care starter kit, which gave me shampoo, conditioner, oil balm, and their hair growth stimulator formula as well. And now my beard is full. It's soft but strong, and the confidence is on 10, and it's all thanks to Basque and Lather. Explore viral bestsellers and products of healthier hair of all types from Basque and Lather. Go to baskeandlatherco.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON for 20% off. That's 20% off at baskeandlatherco.com, code LOCKED ON.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you, our everydayers. Explaining the great NFL comps for Rasheem Biles, former Pittsburgh Panther, now Texas Longhorn linebacker. Again, 6'1", 225 pounds, versatile defender. Keith, what grade do you have for Rasheem Biles?
Yeah, similar to our guy yesterday for obviously totally different reasons and different type of prospects, but I gave him another late second into early third round. I think that if he maintains this production, especially in the SEC, I think this is the area where you start to see these guys that, and we've historically seen this, right? Guys that are just good football players, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there, right? As long as his testing is okay, I think the plays that he makes on the field, you feel comfortable as a GM to say, you know what, I'm drafting a good football player. And yes, he's not a guy that's going to check all the boxes immediately from a height, weight perspective, but I'm going to find ways to put him on the field because he could be an impactful player for us.
No, I'm with you. I gave him a top of the third round grade as well. I mean, the phrase that we've heard for so long for the past couple of years has been the positionless defense, and he's a guy that fits into that. And if you have a defensive coordinator who that's one of their mantras, or they buy into that, and they know how to put guys in the right positions, in the right spots to be effective, because at the end of the day, every draft pick is an investment. Everything is risk assessment. Keith, like the coach's jobs are to mitigate your flaws in any way, shape, or form. So whether it's quarterback, running back, wide receiver, whatever your flaw is, we should have, when we know we're drafting you, we should have a plan to mitigate that, to where it's not the Achilles heel of our unit if we play you 60 to 70% of the offense or defensive snaps, depending on your position. So I think that's going to be a big thing. Is like, okay, because I think for me, looking at him going into the SEC, going to Texas, and we know that Texas is going to have a gauntlet of a schedule. They're in the SEC, right? They play Ohio State week 2 of the season, right? So what you're thinking about is, well, you're going to have to see Bo Jackson running up, right up the gut. You know what I mean? They might throw some wide zone out there, but they're going to run him up the middle. You're going to try to get those big offensive linemen and climb up to you, right? Like different things of that nature. They have tight ends that can seal you in the run game and things. So you're going to have to see how he handles that. But just in the SEC period, like, okay, you play Georgia. Georgia's one of the most physical teams in the country. Like that's just and again, it's not even just a knock on him. It's just more so you're changing. I said it earlier. You're changing weight classes. You know what I mean? You're going from what is it? I don't even know all the boxing weight class. That's the ones.
It's 100 of them, right? You
got it's too many weights.
You got super light heavyweight. You got middle heavyweight. You got heavyweight. You got the heaviest weight.
You're going from the heaviest weight. It's crazy. You're going from light heavyweight to heavyweight, and no disrespect to the ACC, but you're going to deal with more physicality and more run, and not just with the running backs. You got quarterbacks who can run the ball and run QB power, who are like, I think the kid that he's like Mississippi State, Kamario Taylor, I think he's like 6'5", like 220. Like you think he's the same size as you at quarterback, right? Like so like you have to deal with those type of things. So that's what it's interesting, Keith. I was trying to think of comps, man. I was like, there's not been many linebackers that's been this size, but one did come to mind. But he was just a different breed. I'm gonna be honest with you. Remember Ryan Shazier for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah. Yep.
Shazier was a little heavier too. He was 6'1", 237. He was an elite athlete, 4.38 in the 40, 42-inch vert. He had like 25 reps on the bench press. And I remember watching him at Pitt early in his career before the injury. And I was just like, how is he getting away with this? Because like it wouldn't even be no rhyme or rhythm to it. He would just shoot gaps and just he was a high collision player. He was super explosive. And you would see him walk up in the A gap and still get through the A gap and get to the running back, right? Now, there were some times I'm like, all right, man, you keep doing this, and when these centers snap and reach you, yeah, they're gonna take you for a ride, big fella. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna wash you down. And they were able to do that sometimes, but he's one of those guys where he was an anomaly at that size, because he wasn't 240, 250. He was 6'1", but he played like a bull in a china shop. He just wanted to make contact with somebody. He didn't care if it was offensive lineman, a ref, a tight end, or a running back. He was like, I want to hit somebody. That's all Ryan Shazier wanted. And he did that for Pittsburgh. And he was a highly impactful player on that defense too. So that was the only one that really came to mind. But again, that was an elite athlete who was like super strong, and he was just different, man.
Yeah. Nah, I'm gonna go with this, DP. So I listen, I understand why you said that, right? With some, I guess you not trepidation, right? But it was a little bit of hesitation, right? He's like, I don't 100% feel comfortable, because I looked at a list of linebackers too, and it just kind of left me head scratching, right? And what I decided to do was kind of reverse engineer this thing, right? It's like he playing linebacker now, but he used to play defensive back, right? And so what he looked like is the position group that I went to. I went to safeties. And I kind of hinted at this a little bit. And I knew we said Patrick Chung, but there's another young man that was kind of notorious in that New England Patriots defense that played pretty well. I'm gonna go with Kyle Duggar. And
like that.
Because he did a lot of different things, right? And Kyle was one of those guys coming out of a small school that was versatile, did a lot of different things, but he was an impactful player. So I'm gonna throw the comment. Then this is the last point I have to make with this. I'm actually very interested to see with him transferring if Texas is going to leave him at linebacker or if they're going to make him play safety, right? Because then this is the point we talk about with quarterbacks, we talk about it with wide receivers a lot, right? As far as where do they put you? This is Texas, right? Texas is not Pitt as far as from a recruiting standpoint, right? So does Texas have 3 240-pound linebackers that we like, you know what, we good there, but you know we need a strong safety, right? I'm interested to see what goes on in that capacity, or from that perspective, to see if he actually plays more safety next year, or does he play more nickel, more overhang type situations, and then we see him in a totally different position. So this is going to be fun to see what Texas does with him, because there's no guarantee. It's not like he's going back to Pitt again, right? And in the same scheme, same situations, he's going to a totally different situation, but a good football player.
No, that's I'm right there with you. I'm like, man, is that coaching staff gonna lead this kid at linebacker? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, and again, because I think he's a good player. I think he could be an impactful player with his versatility, but the size is definitely a concern. And like, I think flip it, because honestly, if you flip him to safety this year, that gives him a leg up going into the league. Because again, as I said earlier, he learns how to play safety. He already knows how to play linebacker. He's already used to the speed being 5 to 6, 7 yards off the ball. He's not going to be overwhelmed with the quickness of it all, like Isaiah Simmons talked about. He's used to that, but he gets used to playing safety. And then, like you said, you can kind of really mix and match how you deploy him overall. Now, I'm gonna pull up Texas schedule real quick, Keith. This season, because that was a big thing for me. Is like, so they start off with Texas State, then they they host Ohio State, UTSA. Nobody cares. That sounded so bad. I didn't even say it.
Come on, the Road Runners, DP, the Road Runners, baby, come on. That's what Tyreek Williams came from.
Listen, he's gonna be fine. You get Tennessee, then they play Oklahoma, right? John Mateer and all of that. I assume Oklahoma's gonna run the ball better than they did last year. Florida, Jaden Baugh, who I broke down recently, is like 230, 235 pounds. Like, you're gonna have to tighten that chin strap real tight dealing with him. You got Ole Miss with Kejuan Lacey and Trinidad Chambers in the backfield. Talked about it, Mississippi State, Kamario Taylor, Fluff Bothwell, those guys. You play Missouri, Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah.
Yep. You got LSU, Arkansas, and you got Texas A&M with Reuben Owens and Marcel Reed and all. Like, safety. Safety. With that lineup of teams, safety. I think that you go ahead and make that transition in 2026. I am not comfortable with him playing linebacker or being a prominent linebacker dealing with the physicality in the SEC. Nope. Put him at safety. Let him develop there. Rotate him around. Do different things. Make him a jack of all trades. Swiss Army. Like all those tag words. Make him one of those. Linebacker. I have concerns going into the season if he's playing linebacker full time. Now that defensive line keeps him clean, Keith, and he gets to just flow and move around. Hey, I'm all for it. But I want to play safety.
We'll see, DP. The season is right around the corner. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all can talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we're going to break down some more rookies to watch in week 2 of the NFL preseason. After such a stellar week of rookie debuts, can these guys double up? Can they give us an encore? We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.